Okay, parents, teachers, camp counselors, bus drivers, anyone who has to deal with kids, what are the funniest things you've heard kids say? Any notable conversations? Hysterical kid logic? I'm not any of the above, but I once had a kid tell me her mom was a naughty person, and she knew it because she overheard her dad calling her mom a naughty little thing in the bathroom once. I'm not any of the above. Anyone who has to deal with kids, you're that one. I worked in a daycare and was with a group of kindergartners who were talking about things that happen when you grow up. One little girl pipes up, when you grow up you get bigger hair, gesturing towards her chest, but only if you're a girl, except my dad calls he's fat. Camp counselor here. I had a little 7-year-old girl randomly come up to me and say my brother is going to heck. He killed himself. Worked with 3-4-year-olds for a couple years. Me. What's your favorite thing to drink? Kid. Beer. Child next to him. Me. What is your favorite thing to eat? Kid. You. Well, this is inappropriate. That kid is smooth as heck. I teach 7th grade English. Was attempting to explain to my class that many authors were not famous during their lives and only became well known after they died. One of my slower students looks at me, and I can see the wave of realization hit her as she throws up her hand and shouts just like Haram with the biggest smile on her face. Yes, kid, just like Haram. What it must be like to be in elementary primary school these days with all this stuff going on. This conversation just occurred yesterday with a student as he was trying to fill out an outline template for a book he had been reading this quarter. Teacher. Student. T. Okay. What's the title of the book? S. The basketball comeback. T. Alright. Who are the main characters? And what's the first chapter about? S. UHH. The main character is Jeff. And UHH Billy. They are both on the basketball team, but I think Jeff has anger issues. T. Okay, keep going. What else happens? What is the rising action? What is going on in the book that makes you think this will be a big problem later? S. Jeff keeps getting in trouble for his anger. T. Alright, fair enough. What is the climax? What is the turning point in this novel? S. Jeff gets in a fight with a teammate and is forced to start taking medication for his anger. T. Okay, cool. And how does it end? I'm guessing he gets back on the team. S. No, he gets put out. T. Like, he gets cut? Seriously? That's how the book ends? He just gets cut from the team? You're sure? S. Opens book and pretends to read line. Jeff has to be put out from the team. T. It even says put out. What? And that's it? He gets cut from the team and the book ends. S. No. He starts playing tennis. T. Can I see that book? S. Are you going to read it? T. Yes. S. Don't. It's not good. T. I'm flipping through it. At this point I know there's no way he read this book. Dude. There isn't a Jeff in this story. Not once. Did you seriously think I would believe he gets cut and starts playing tennis? S. I swear that's what happened. T. You literally just sit in class and stare at your book for days on end instead of just reading it? That is less boring than actually just reading it. S. Yes. In his defense, it was a pretty elaborate lie. He made up the plot to an entire book, and up until the end made it believable enough that I didn't really think twice about it. Maybe one day he can write his own stories that some kid in high school won't read. Maybe Jeff's anger stems from the fact his father has pushed him to play basketball when he would rather play tennis. 4th graders making bookmarks for Mother's Day gifts. Kid 1. I'm done. Holds up shoddy. Rushed work. Kid 2. Looking disgusted. No you ain't. You gotta put some pizzazz into it. That's your mama. She hatched you. I teach reception. 4 and 5 years old. A child came in saying that his rabbit had died. Cue a long class sharing time, full of sympathy and remembering the good times. All children chipping in with pets and relatives dying sadly and in conventional ways. A somber mood prevailed. Cue. Let's call him Pete. A boy with a vivid story-driven imagination. My great-grandma died. No response. The children were getting a bit bored by now, so he decided to pep up the story, which was probably that she had died in hospital. Yes, she rolled down a hill into a pond where she was eaten by sharks and crocodiles. Cue a load of utterly shocked 4-year-olds. Shocked at both the story and the fact that their teacher was laughing uncontrollably at this poor old lady's demise. It took years for the children to realize why I was laughing. I was a counselor at a summer camp back in high school. My cabin was 6-7-year-olds. One day we went down to the lake to swim. After we were done, the other counselor and I were counting everyone off and lining them up for the walk back. One kid, who was particularly difficult to make behave, was placed in the middle of the line. Well, he quickly left his spot and just straight sucker punched the kid at the front of the line. After we broke up the fight and asked him just what the frick he thought he was doing, he replied with, "I wanted to be in the front. I deserve it because I cleaned my area before we went to breakfast." He didn't. And that isn't how it works. Bonus story. This girl I've been seeing recently told me about her camp counseling experience. I guess she had this little Asian girl of Tibetan heritage who, when asked what she wanted to be when she grew up, told everyone she was going to be a lawyer. One of the other kids said, "But you're so good at hiking and stuff. I thought you would want to be something else." The little Asian girl turns to this other kid and with a mean look and a venomous inflection in her voice responds, "Oh what? Like a Sherpa?" Sitting at the front desk at work when a mother and her very young daughter walked in and asked me where the restroom was. I pointed them in the right direction and waved with a smile at the young girl. As they walked away, the girl looked up at her mother and asked, "Is he a police officer?" "I'm not. I'm an armed security officer, but nobody reads the badge or patches on my sleeves. They see the black uniform, gun belt, the badge, and assume." Her mother responded, "Yes, dear." The young girl asked, "Is he a nice police officer, or an butthole?" The mother's face turned bright red as she ushered her young daughter down the hallway. My 6-year-old son equated me being late to work as in losing stars, aka lives at my job, like a video game. If I lose all my stars, I lose my job from his perspective. Every day, it's a struggle to get the kids out of the house in the morning. Every day, I emphasize that we need to hurry so I'm not late for work because I don't want to get in trouble and lose my job. My son says, "Mom, how many stars do you have left? Did you lose a star because you were late to work today?" He asked how many stars I had total and how many I had left. Very interesting perspective, but smart as heck for a 6-year-old. It will be interesting to see what he's like as an adult. I worked at camp that took care of special needs. One of my campers, Mark, was limited to a wheelchair and never got out more than some muffled grumbles. Instead, he communicated mainly by pointing and wheeling himself over to whatever he wanted. On the day we were mixing special needs with regular campers in the multi-purpose room, Mark was continually trying to get at the keyboard that was on stage. Eventually, we just brought the keyboard to him. Instead of just playing random noises though, Mark started pecking out the US national anthem, which was really cool. He then pointed over towards the microphone. Me and my buddy wanted to support Mark, because this was the most lively he'd been all week. We got him the microphone, which was connected to the speakers, thinking he would sing along to his music. Kids are starting to notice and trying to sing the anthem while he played. We gave Mark the mic. He started saying P into the microphone for all to hear. We had to step out as soon as we turned the speakers off to not lose it on front of everyone. He faked not being able to talk just so he could do that. I'm a counselor at a sleepaway camp, and last summer I was a counselor to 10 boys, 6 to 9 years old. Anyways, we have this one little shithead, and he plainly wasn't ready for camp. He just turned 6, and was simply too dependent. I mean, Christ, the kid didn't even know when to stop eating. Kid ate 7 giant pieces of lasagna and was reaching for another before we stopped him. But anyways, one time he comes up to me once and whispers Franklin Roosevelt-y. I embarrass myself. I ask him what's wrong, and he says I made a toilet of my underwear. So I take him back to the bunk. He goes to wash himself, and as I take his underwear to the laundry room, I noticed that there was no crap in them. The underwear was brown. The original color was brown. He thought he crap himself because of the color. I embarrass myself. I'm imagining him as having a Russian accent now. Not me, but my boss, principal. He likes to play jokes a lot. So the other day he strolls into the grade 4 room and convinces the kids that Christmas is cancelled. Yup, There is no Christmas this year. They've moved it to January and might get rid of it altogether. All the kids start whining and complaining, getting worried. Before he can explain it's all a joke, a little boy from the back shouts out, "Frick, I hate that Trump." My wife and I were driving with our daughter in the back seat. She was about 5 years old at the time. We were driving along and my daughter dropped her sippy cup on the floor of the car. She instantly belted out, "Jesus Christ." Double quote. My wife and I looked at each other with wide eyes. I responded tersely, "Honey, you can't say that. It is a swear word and you should not use it." She looked at me and very matter-of-factly said, "Okay, I'll just say shitballs." My wife and I couldn't help but laugh. I was helping my wife out with her Sunday school class. There was a boy in there about 5 years old. She asked why the king locked Daniel in the lion's den and he responded with, "Because he is a douchebag." I was waiting for a table at a restaurant one winter. A large extended family walked in and their toddler took off their coat and handed it to the mom. The uncle asked the toddler to help him with his coat. The toddler got the coat off then handed it directly to his mom because mom's job is obviously holding the coats. Obligatory late to the party, but my 8-year-old stepson doesn't care for his little cousin Lily. He went to stay with his grandmother for the weekend and Lily happened to stay the weekend too. Comes home Sunday afternoon and flops down onto the couch like me after a long day at the office and exclaims, "Dad, I don't like women. I've made up my mind." Laughing, I ask, "Why, bud? What happened?" Expecting hilarity. He says, "Well, I just don't like the way I feel around them." My vibe goes way down. He must have heard me or mama unenthused, but boy, hearing that come from an 8-year-old was priceless. TLDR, 8 years old says women kill his vibe. I was playing Star Wars with my 4-year-old nephew. We were stormtroopers looking for rebels. He goes into his playhouse and makes some laser sounds. When he comes out he casually says, "I just shot a little kid." Had to pause the game and explain that we don't shoot innocent people. It didn't have an effect because a minute later we were in a firefight with some rebels and he shouts, "I'm shooting all the children. We don't play stormtroopers anymore." I work in a primary junior school. I'm not sure what the American equivalent is, but our kids range from 4-11 usually. I work as a lunch shift supervisor and one day as I was passing the office and the head teacher greeted me with a 5-year-old child and said, "Hello Mrs. Askew. Lil Timmy here has just returned to school. He's been at the hospital all morning." Me, "Oh okay. How are you feeling now Lil Timmy? Have you got some new medicine now?" Lil Timmy, "Yes I have. And I'm really high now." Myself and the head teacher exchange curious and worried glances before I ask him what he means by really high, and he stares off into space. Then after a few moments puts on a huge smile and says, "I'm taller than I used to be." Both of us were trying to stifle our laughter and feeling very relieved. The head teacher rushed off to their office for a damned good chuckle and I got one of 100 hilarious stories to tell. This literally just happened. Students in my class were introduced to smarter pins on Google Maps. It's a trivia game where you answer by placing a pin on a location you're given hints to. One student told me they weren't very knowledgeable about Pennsylvania. Another student chimes in, completely serious and confident in their answer, "Dude, that's where vampires come from." I am currently still laughing as I type this. What perfect timing for this question. Can confirm. Vampires come from Pennsylvania. Source, I'm from PA. Also am vampire. My daughter and a friend of her were playing with dolls and making them get married. The little girl she was with was officiating the wedding and said, "You may now kiss your waffle wedded wife." 4-year-old was jumping in the shallow end of the pool. We told her not to jump in. She does it again and we say, "What did we tell you about jumping?" She replies, "I didn't jump, I hopped in." I'm a camp counselor, but this wasn't my site. Anyways, a 1st grade kid had a fit of rage and the class went into the classroom corners while he was throwing things. So, our director, basically our principal, comes to deal with him. The director walks in, sees the teacher and kids cowered in the corner like sad puppies with tables being used as shields. In the middle is the kid standing on top of a table throwing crayons, with a large pack of crayons as his ammo box. He turns to face the director and says, "What's up, B?" Nanny, kid, 5-year-old, was looking at a jar of marbles on a deli counter, turned to me and said, "Look at those. What a beautiful choking hazard." Mom here. I have always had a weird sense of humor raising my children. It's paid off, because they're hysterical. One day I'm Skyping with them while they're in Japan. Their father lives there. Oldest son, 9. Boom. Brother's name, 6. Won't stop licking me. Me. Stop licking your brother. You don't know where he's been. Oldest son. Very matter of factly, we just got out the shower. Mom. Well, okay then. I had a spinal tap test for meningitis a few months back. Test came back fine, but 3 days later I got a spinal headache, which basically means my brain felt like it was crushing itself in my skull. The only way I wasn't in tears was by laying down flat. The day prior I told my daughter I would help her clean her room. She is 5, so I told her I couldn't help her because my head hurt very badly. She said, "But your arms are okay. You can still move stuff." She also says adults talk like blah blah blah, this and that. She also says adults talk like blah blah blah, this and that. They do. I'm a dance teacher that runs a camp for 4-7-year-olds. So when we do across the floor dance exercises that go in a line, one at a time across the dance floor, I always have a stuffed unicorn at the end for the girls to pet, to make sure they do the full exercise. One day, this one girl finishes the exercise and rather than petting the unicorn on the head, pats it on the butt, then stand up and says, "I touched the unicorn's booty," in a really squeaky 4-year-old voice. Kid, look at me. I can flip. Me. Wow. I can't do that. Pretty pathetic, huh? Kid, well you can talk. Right on, kid. Right on. The other day I overheard a kid in the library smugly say to a group of other kids, "What's 4 billion plus a mazillion? It's not easy." Mother then grabs child and says, "Look, you need to settle down." Former nanny preschool teacher. One kid referred to condensation as ice sweat and another pulled out her eyelashes so she could get extra wishes, and then another told me that he buys his mom chocolate for her birthday so that his infant brother could try chocolate milk. Gotta love kid logic. I worked with kindergarten kids learning math when I was in high school. We frequently got off topic and goofed around. I probably was really bad at it since we always got to random topics. One time we got into the discussion of World War II, and most of the kids only knew the super PG version of the war, but there was one kid that seemed to know a lot about the topic. I asked him why and he said his grandpa was a World War II infantryman. I'm not sure how the conversation went, but eventually he said something like, "Soldiers sacrifice everything so that the ones they love don't have to." It wasn't necessarily funny, but it was profound, and I have used it a few times. Is no one baffled by kindergartners discussing World War II? In kindergarten I was being taught to tell time, how to act in class, cut and paste, color inside the lines, take naps, etc. I was a camp counselor for kids with disabilities, and there was one kid age 11-12 who really liked me as his counselor. One day at lunch me and some other counselors were joking with him and asked what he would do if I weren't a counselor anymore, and he said he would go on a bathing strike. My 4-year-old nephew is a goldmine for these. My mum, his gran, asked him if he had seen any fireworks yet. "Nephew, I have. I saw some, grandma. And they went up in the air and they went bang, and then all the water came out of the top in different colors." I asked him if he had a good day at school and what was his favorite part. Nephew, pointing to his head, "The girls at school never gave me the jubies. There's been an epidemic of headless at his school recently." He likes to start his stories by saying, "Now, let me tell you about me." I once had a student balance a bottle of smart water on his head during a quiz claiming osmosis would help him. It didn't help him. I work as a behavior interventionist with children who have special needs. I was at a client's house playing in the backyard with a kid, 9 years. We were playing tag, and he decided that if he can't hit me with a nearby ball it would count as tagging me. Right before he threw it at me, he yells, "Taste my balls." Last Easter, I took my 4-year-old son along with me to a church service where my cousin was performing in the telling of the whole story of how Jesus was crucified in the days that followed. My son was very intrigued by this whole story, and when they talked about how Jesus rose from the dead, he yelled out, "Oh crap, Jesus is a ghost," in the middle of the church. Oh gosh, as a camp counselor, I've heard quite a bit. Recently, a first grader walked by me and was singing a song he came up with that went, "I have a butthole, a big fat butthole." A few months ago, nobody should vote for Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump because they are both racists. We should let a duck become president so ducks can take over the world. Once a kid called me fat and another kid said he's not fat, he's skinny, like a corn dog. A kid asked me what country I was born in and I told him Canada. Not true. From the good old USA. And he asked me if that meant I was German. A kid asked me if Japan was a bad word. Another time third grader tried to explain 9/11 to me. Once I was playing a game with a group that involved spinning around and I got really dizzy. One kid wanted me to join the game again and I told her I would when I find my balance. To which she replied, "I'll go find it for you." Last week, a kindergartner pulled a dictionary off our book cart and told me he was going to tell me a story from the book. I was curious to what he was going to say at this point, so I'll let him. He proceeded to flip to random pages and basically tell me what he saw on the news last night, acting like he was reading it straight out of the book. I taught an educational summer camp with kids mostly kindergarten age. One time they were being rowdy, so to quiet them down, I asked them to get together and come up with the best group estimate of my age. They huddled together, looking very serious, and a few leaders took charge of the group. Eventually they emerged and said their collective guess was 51. I'm a 19-year-old college sophomore. My 3-year-old, "Mama, no, don't singing. I'm not 3, I'm a train. Goddamn Bob." To the cat, "Oops, Mama, you're a naughty boy." Sings "Let It Go" very loudly with mostly gibberish words. I love this song anytime he hears 21 Pilots and goes completely berserk, jumping on the couch and spinning around. I was long-term subbing junior English for a woman who had just had a baby. During the first couple weeks of school, I had a kid in my class who would not do the project, a get-to-know-you thing, that they were assigned. On the day they were supposed to turn it in, he still hadn't done anything and was talking and laughing with some other kids who needed to be working. I got onto him about it and he started cussing me out. Cussing at a teacher is a referral and ISS as well as a visit to your AP. I walked him down to the office from the library where we were all while he's cussing at me. Between the 20 or so times he told me I was a P, he told me 2 different things that have stuck with me since. 1. My pants were too tight. 2. My mom probably hated me. I know they were meant to be mean and he was trying to pick a fight, but it was all I could do not to crack up laughing. Once heard 2 12-year-old boys speak together. Boy 1. If you were a girl for a day only, what would you do? Boy 2. I would like to have my periods. Laughed so hard at his response. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.